Hello and welcome to another episode of the Terry McGriff Show, man. I'm just happy to be back. God gave us another week to be on this great planet. Man, just excited. We had a good time last week with our draft celebration, watching the draft. Just so much fun. I'd like to introduce my great co-host, Mr. Andre L. Sullivan, sitting at those beautiful iHeart studios. Andre, how's it going, my friend?
Man, it's hot. I had a good hair day until I walked outside. Like, it's hot. But it's all good, man. Blessed to be here, man.
You got to have a hair like me. See, I had this good. All I got to do is just
I ain't there yet.
Grab and go.
I ain't there yet.
Keep living. But that's all right, though, man. It's all right. This is the low maintenance hairstyle. But, man, I had a good time. I thought the draft was pretty interesting. There's some stuff that was going on. We're going to kind of talk about that this week. We're going to kind of basically a draft review show. Going to first talk about going through the review the Jaguars draft. And then we want to discuss teams and things that we liked about that we saw during the draft. And lastly, I want to get into this Aaron Rodgers situation. How unique of a situation that I won't say unique, but kind of strange how this thing is all blowing out. And it's going to be an interesting, fun show. But first, I'd like to let everybody know, please hit that like and subscribe button if you enjoy our content. Once again, please also, please patronize our sponsors, Watch Game Film, Team Sportswear Direct, also She-Car. And we obviously watch what's going on with the Women's Tackle Football League, who had a kickoff this weekend. They had a few teams play over the weekend. And we'll have a full season starting next week on the 15th. So it's going to be very, very interesting to see how that rolls out. But let's just jump into this. Jaguars draft. I thought it was pretty interesting what they did. Everybody knew what was coming with the first pick. Everybody knew about Trevor Lawrence, whether you agreed with it or disagreed with it. I guess he was the consensus guy that everybody decided to go with. And it remains to be seen. I think he's going to do good, but they're believing he's the savior, so we'll see. That's all these things. Well, none of us will know exactly how this is about 3 years from now, and it's going to be interesting. I was surprised that the Jaguars drafted ETN. I mean, I knew he wanted to get more speed, but I think he talked about that he wanted to get the kid from Florida, but he was gone, so they went with ETN. It was funny how running backs went back to back on that 24th and 25th pick. What was real surprising to me was the Tyson Campbell pick. Knowing that they just picked up they drafted a first round corner last year. They picked up a free agent and paid him big money. And they had another guy who started and was decent for him at the nickel, or that was the other outside spot. But it goes to basically he's saying what he wants, what he's been saying. He wants speed and he wants competition. And Tyson Campbell was one of the faster players in the SEC. Had a great pro day. I think he ran like a 4.35 pro. So he brings more speed. The Walter Little pick I thought was good value for the spot. I did see the kid play, and then I did watch some film before his injury. The strange things about him, it will be 2 years before he actually plays a real game, so it's going to be interesting what they do with him. The Jay Tuffarelli pay, I've seen him play. If you don't watch a lot of Pac-12 football, you don't get to see these guys because they're all on the West Coast. But I did heard of him. I haven't watched a lot of film, but I think getting him at that number 106 was pretty good. I think if he gives you anything, you won. And he's a big athletic guy. I've seen some film on YouTube on him. Jordan Little, now that's a totally different thing. I thought that was a steal for where they're going to get him. And plus, he's going to be playing the 3-4 outside linebacker spot. He's one of those guys. He reminds me of the Wake Forest guy.
Oh, you mean Jordan Smith?
Excuse me, George Smith. I'm sorry. George Smith from UAB. I've seen him play. He reminds me of the defensive end that was picked in the first round that's out of Wake Forest. I can't remember his name right now, but he's going to give you value at that outside line. He's not a defensive end. He's going to play linebacker in that 3-4 scheme. He will be what we got in and Lord, not Aiken Adele, because I remember Aiken Adele. He was that kind of guy. But he also is going to give you that value that as with the Jaguars. Who did we just leave? I can't remember. He just totally he's with he went. We traded him to the Vikings. You know what I'm talking about.
Oh, Unique Ngakoue.
Yeah, he's that unique Ngakoue guy, but he's not that small. He's a strictly a great pass rusher. He got 3 or 4 moves. He's not a one move guy. I like him, and I thought getting him at 121 was a steal because, I thought he would have probably been a second round pick, but he wasn't. To get him at 121 was good. Luke Farrell, I'd be lying if I said I knew anything about him. I don't, and that's probably why he's at 145. And I have seen some Jalen Camp film from Georgia Tech, and I heard some couple people say he's pretty good. But the question with that, and they got him in the 6th round. They moved up and they got rid of their 7th round pick to get him in the 6th round. The question with him, he's a big athletic guy, but where is he going to fit with all the guys they brought in on the roster, plus the receivers that they already have? And it's going to be pretty interesting. I think they're trying to build a team for just speed, and more speed, but it's going to be interesting. I'll get your take on it.
Overall, when I turned in my report, I gave them a B+. And obviously, of course, I didn't agree with it, but the whole Trevor Lawrence pick. And the reason why I gave them a B+, a big part of that reasoning was because of what they did in the first round at number 25 with Travis Etienne. Now, don't get me wrong. He's a baller. Obviously, we saw him do it in high school in New Orleans. We saw him do it at Clemson. And we'll most likely, all things considered, see him do it in the NFL. But the problem was there are so many things going on on the offensive side of the ball with Jacksonville that aren't great. And having someone like James Robinson already in the saddle, already spending money with Carlos Hyde, I question that pick a little bit. And don't get me wrong, this is not a knock on Travis Etienne. It made us have a little bit of pause. Now, the Tyson Campbell pick, I get it. They had problems with that defensive secondary. And problem is me being nice. But Tyson Campbell was, I can't call him a shutdown DB or corner, but if there was a term for that up under that, he would be right there. The Walker Little pick, I do agree. I echo every sentiment that you gave. He's a very serviceable offensive tackle. Of course, he's going to deal with those little injuries. So, as you alluded to, it'll be interesting to see what they do with him. Andre Cisco is who I question. I don't question them getting a safety. I question the safety that they got. And it's not like Andre Cisco is a dud by any means of the circumstance. But as I look at film of Andre Cisco, it just didn't equate NFL to me. And what I mean by that is he played for Syracuse in a 4-3 kind of Tampa 2 defense. And there's not a lot there's very few highlights of him. And I don't know, and it could be to my ignorance. Maybe they had a great front seven, or maybe it's just the way that, Syracuse played. I'm not very sure on that, but just with the naked eye looking at a film, I just didn't see a safety that is going to be a starter. And the Jaguars needs another starting safety. I question that with that pick. Jay, you said his name. I'm not gonna butcher his last name, but he's a great defensive tackle. If you see anything on USC, you're gonna see him. Again, the same thing with George Smith at Alabama, Birmingham. You don't hear a lot about ABU, but yeah, he's like that. Now, who's somebody I can speak on that you weren't able to is Luke Farrell. Listen. There's a YouTube video if anybody wants to go look at it. It's from circa early on in the college football season. But what it was there the Ohio State quarterback, who just got picked up by the Chicago Bears, talking about his receivers and his
Talking about Justin Fields.
Okay. Justin Fields, yeah, he was talking about receivers, and one of the names that he highlighted was Luke Farrell. And what's interesting about that highlight was he said, and I quote, "I know that I can run the ball because Luke Farrell is lined up at tight end." Now, a lot of people are like, "Oh my God, but he's a tight end. Why aren't we talking about his receiving?" Listen, that's one of the biggest compliments you can get as a tight end. When your quarterback says, "I know that we can run the ball because he's at tight end." And if you look at his film, he's literally comboing defensive ends getting to the linebacker. He's one of those unselfish guys that, once he got that other guy away, he's going up to get the safety. And seeing play like that, and on top of that, he has for sure hands. And so just seeing that he was there, and we knew he was going to be a late round pick. Obviously there's only very few people that put on the scarlet jersey that were going to be talked about heavily this year. Of course, Justin Fields being the main one. But Luke Farrell, when they got him, I was like, wow. Now, here's the thing about Jalen Camp. Of course, he played at Georgia Tech where they've only had, one season where they're not running the ball 90% of the time? So Georgia Tech, it's hard to really judge Georgia Tech wide receivers. But the thing about it, Georgia Tech wide receivers, when that ball's up in the air, they're coming down with it because of the offense that they run. You know what I mean? And it's unique to sit there and watch them play and watch those wide receivers coming out of that school because, one, they're healthy because they're not getting beaten up every game because they're blocking mostly, and two, they're taught how to block. Mm. Like that's, you cannot be a Georgia Tech wide receiver if you can't block, and so that's the beautiful thing about Mr. Kemp, because I know if we're running outside, we can run right off of his butt because he's taking that defense to the house. And there's very few rookie receivers that you can say that about. Mm-hmm. But overall, it'll be interesting to see what Urban Meyer and his camp does with this offense. He has a chance, James Robinson and Travis Etienne in the same backfield. You have a chance to do a home run every single play. Now, I still have questions of what they're going to do on outside and, of course, with their whole entire offensive line as a whole. But overall, it was a great draft for first-time head coach Urban Meyer and Mr. Balky at the GM spot.
Okay. I'm going to circle back around and talk to what you said because I didn't really speak on him, but I did see him. Andre Cisco led his conference, I think, on almost FBS in interceptions in 2019, and then he was injured in a game, right before a game, and I think that was one of the main reasons he slid down. I think he had a knee injury. It was a knee or Achilles injury. I can't quite remember. And so his draft stock went down because I did see quite a few highlights of him, and they were all where he was knocking balls down or he was intercepting balls. He got a lot of interceptions because he was always seeming to be in the right place at the right time. The knock and the thing on him was that maybe he was too aggressive, and sometimes he would overrun some stuff. But on the back end, covering it was where he was really made his money at. And because of that injury, he kind of fell down, similar to what the Jaguars got in free agency. They got some great players that I thought were good college players, like at Alabama, a couple of those guys, and a receiver from Illinois. I don't want to talk about their names right now, but they were good players. But because of injuries or other situations, they didn't get drafted. There was quite a few undrafted players that were really big stars on their teams, which was surprising this year. And a lot of that was due to COVID because a lot of teams didn't get a lot of games. If you're a West Coast team, you really was hampered because you started late, didn't get a lot of games, and you're on the West Coast, so you got a lot working against you. And
Yeah.
so that says a lot about the scouting of the Jaguars by able to pick up two guys on the West Coast from Pac-12 schools, and that they thought to get them, and they got them in kind of mid-round. So, Walker Little is really going to be intriguing because he was a 5-star recruit. He was a starter. He was a 2-year starter at Stanford, who's known for their run blocking. These guys get after those. You get a lane from Stanford, you're doing yourself a service because they really know how to play it. They come in and translate well to the pro game. I liked it. I'm glad you gave me some information. So now I'll go back and look at Luke Farrell because I really never saw a lot of highlights on him. And that was probably one of the things the Jaguars are probably doing because I was thought that they were going to draft a tight end earlier in the draft that was more of a pass catching tight end, but they do have I just totally forgot his name, but we do have some veteran tight end that played and been pass catchers. But I think the guys that they brought in now were mainly run blocking tight ends, and with the speed that they got on the team already, you got plenty of guys that can catch the ball, on that, just by the wide receivers that they brought in. So the main thing I wanted to see if he was going to follow what he said he was going to follow. And Urban Meyer did that. They went for speed, and more speed. And everybody that they got that was a skill position player can absolutely run. I don't know how fast Luke Farrell is, but he's really about in the block, as you said. But everybody that I know ran in the 4.4s or the 4.3s that could play a skill position, including Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is he didn't run a 40, but we knew by looking at his tape, he can actually get after it. And he's a quarterback that can, when you're talking about run pass option, they're probably going to take that same offense that he ran at Clemson and implement it right into the league. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do. I think they'll be competitive. I'm not going to predict playoffs at all, but I think they'll be competitive, and I expect them to at least win 4 games next year, which is a big improvement. So that, I think, it's going to be interesting, and I'm looking forward to the season. Now let's switch topics here and go into overall the draft. Some of the teams that we liked in the draft, and I'm going to give you the first crack at it and tell me some of the teams that you like and what they did in the draft. Who you're impressed with?
Oh yeah, obviously. And I'm gonna go straight up and go to Chicago. Yeah. They put on the big boy pants and made that move. Listen, you guys. I didn't see that coming. I didn't see that one coming. Like
nobody did. Nobody saw that.
And the fact that Justin Fields was sitting there is a slap in the face anyway, personally. Mm-hmm. But the fact that they picked him up and was like, you know what, we got our guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I can only imagine Allen Robinson's face when he saw that pick go across the screen, like, yes.
Yeah.
Finally. But just overall, their draft was just really, really good. They went and got the offensive tackle from Oklahoma State, Mr. Tevin Jenkins, and then got another offensive tackle from Mizzou in Larry Borum.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they got their quarterback, and they was like, okay, we got to protect him. And I don't think some teams, for some reason, it was like, oh, let's get skill. If you get your guy, you better keep him upright. And that's what they did. And then on top of that, they got a steal out of Khalil Herbert, the running back from Virginia Tech.
Really?
Yes. Listen, don't sleep on him. Don't sleep on this man. I promise you, he's a bang type running back, and that's what they were looking for. And then listen, somebody whose name you're going to hear later on in his career. Give him some time to groom himself, but he's going to be in the same position room with Allen Robinson. So Daz Newsome.
I saw him. I remember him from North Carolina. I've seen number 2. I've seen his highlights. He's really
Listen, he's a highlight waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I just feel like now is the time for Chicago to really, really, really Just come on. And then my second team, if I had to put Chicago at 1, this team would be 1B, and that'd be the Miami Dolphins.
Mm-hmm.
And listen, they got Jalen Waddle, who for a better.
I told you he was going to Miami.
For a better part, hey, you got that one right. I'll give you that one. For a better part of he helped make Tua.
Mm-hmm.
So don't get it twisted. And then on top of that, they stayed in Miami and got Jalen Phillips.
That's not even fair.
That's not fair, bro.
That's not even with an already pretty good defense already.
That's not fair. I was like, when I saw that, I was like, what? Okay, but but then they went and got an offensive tackle from Notre Dame and Liam Eichenberg.
Yeah.
Oh my God, Hunter Long, the tight end from Boston,
who led all tight ends in receptions.
What? Oh my God! And then when it got this, hey, go look up UMass. Put in Larnell Coleman. Watch the boy work on that line. He is a dog in the trenches.
Mm-hmm. Probably they'll probably kick him down the guard too.
Right, and that's what I expected. And then got running back in Dotes. Listen, overall, Miami put in work. I know Flores was grinning from ear to ear. And yeah, listen, don't sleep on Miami over there in the AFC East. I mean, and it's a couple of other teams that I have to nod, like the Buffalo Bills. Hey, Tampa Bay, I hate them. If I could send an email or text to Bruce Arians, be like, "Hey, I hate you, LOL." Like, I hate you. Like, I just wanted you to know that. It's not fair. It's really not. Yeah. Shout out to Cal Trask, who literally he won the draft.
You get to go sit behind the GOAT again, and man, please.
Right, and then I think the Atlanta Falcons had a great draft.
Mm-hmm.
It'll be interesting to see what they do. Baltimore Ravens, but yeah, man, those are my picks. Miami and Chicago.
Wow. Okay, that was pretty interesting. Mine is going to be. I'm going to talk about. Well, we already know. I like what the Jaguars did, but we already talked about them. But I really like some of the stuff that who I thought did good with what they had. I thought Kansas City did a good job, better than, because a lot of people, these not common names, but I love the fact, because I've seen Nick Bolton play, to get him at 58. I thought that was a good job. And then the Creed Humphrey, people sleeping on him. You're a Florida State fan. You should know Creed, the center. He's from Oklahoma. He's that guy can ball. If he's not the top rated center, he should have been. And they hit the needs that they had the need to get. And, another guy that people don't know, Cornell Powell from Clemson, he didn't get a lot of play, but he was a really good receiver for them. And how the hell Trey Smith got the 26, because he should have been, I think he was all SEC. And how he did not go. He went at 226. So the people that they thought that they lost, that they went and picked up guys, and then they traded for Orlando Brown Jr. They fixed a lot of their problems. So it's like, doggone it, we think they were getting weaker. They just went back and they just replenished what they was weak at again. And so I'm thinking, for what they needed, they did a great, great job. I mean, it wasn't all these big picks that you thought they get, but that's what they did. And here's another team I can't stand, but I have to give credit where credit is due. The Colts. Kwity Paye. Mm-hmm. Come on. Really? They always seem to get them a good damn defensive end to get everybody here. And then they got your boy, I ain't finna murder his name, but I was like Abedigo, the guy from Vanderbilt. I've seen him because we had a Gator fan. We had to play them every year. He's damn good. I mean, plus, they picked up a Gator, Sean Davis, I think the fact that they got Will Freeze is going to kick in the guard. I liked him. I've seen him a couple of times at Penn State. So that was a team that I like. And unfortunately, their damn division rivalry. Everybody, we're going to get into this later, but Green Bay did a hell of a job with their draft. A hell of a job.
Agreed.
Eric Stokes with their defense, and like I've been saying, they needed to get better on that defense. They lost 2 NFC championships because they got their asses whooped by they couldn't stop nobody. Well, last game they gave up deep passes after deep passes and some short screens and stuff in the passing game to lose to the Bucs in the championship game. So we need some help. I thought they was gonna get it on the front end, but they went on the back end. And then Josh Myers, I don't know much about him, but they picked him up in the second round, so I guess they thought he was better and it was the best center out there. Amari Rodgers, don't sleep on that kid. That kid was he was the number 1 target for Clemson, and I thought that would have shut the quarterback up, but he's good. The other one was Tre'Davious Slayton. I thought that I was surprised he was the defensive tackle that was picked from Florida State, but I understand why. Big plotter, he's going to be a good guy. I also like Cole Van Lauren. Anytime you get a lineman from Wisconsin,
yeah, I
come
can't
on,
be mad at that.
yeah,
Yeah.
You got him at the 214. Colin Hill, I saw him play a few times. I thought for the value he was good, but Green Bay they addressed a lot of needs. So Aaron, be quiet because they trying to do, and it's a publicly owned team. The other team that I really like, I like Detroit. I'm not going to get into them, but who is it I liked really even more than them? What I liked was Denver's draft. Patrick Surtain fit what they needed to do. They needed to get better on defense. Then they turned around and got Javonte Williams. Really? And to get him at 35. Baron Browning to get him at 105 was really, really good. People better, and I think you talked about him. Seth Williams, the wide receiver from Auburn. You got him at 219. Kerry Vincent, you got him at 237. Jonathan Cooper is a monster. People don't. You should see. Watch some of the playoff games what he did for Ohio State. I thought that Denver got better virtually overnight. They already had some young studs on offense to get Javonte Williams to help to bolster the running game, and what they did on defense, especially I forgot to mention Caden Stearns. If you didn't see a Big 12, he was one of the better players for Texas. I thought that they did a good job. It was crazy. It was crazy. Who else I want to talk about? Last but not least, freaking Cleveland. Greg Newsome is probably the most unknown top cornerback in college football, and they got him at 26, which is very, very good value. Then Jeremiah I call him. We're gonna just tell him JOK. Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. Everybody picked him as being a top 20 pick. You know what I mean? And to get him at 52. So, and what they're doing in free agency, they're bolstering that defense to try to stop the Baltimore Ravens in Pittsburgh, and they've done it. I like Tony Fields from West Virginia. I thought he was a really good. And then they got somebody they can wait and let get better to get Richard LeCount at 169. If you're an SEC fan, he was the heart and soul of that defense, especially in the secondary, until he had that car accident. Dave really, really helped himself, and if he can come back and be healthy, their defensive back, their defense is going to be good because what they picked up in free agency, and what they got on the back end. Because Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah can play linebacker and he can actually kick back to safety. So he's a thumper. I mean, he's one of the best thumpers in the draft. I really, really thought they did a good job with that. I really thought they did an excellent job. So those are my guys. You got anybody else?
Oh, that was it. But I echo all of that, man.
Yeah. So I didn't want to go through too many, but those were the teams I want to highlight. Now, let's get into this whole Aaron Rodgers situation. Right before the draft, it came out that Aaron Rodgers was saying that, it was reported that Aaron Rodgers is not going to return to the Green Bay Packers. Here's my issue with that. Everything you're hearing about Aaron Rodgers is always from a source. Somebody said this, somebody said that. I want to hear what Aaron has to say in his own mouth. I haven't heard him say anything. Him. It's always been reported. Whether it's true or not, it remains to be seen. I'm not doubting the credibility of those stories, but Terry Bradshaw came out and called him weak.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't agree with him, but I can't disagree with what he said because to this point, he's letting other people speak for him, and he needs to come out and let somebody say what he has to say. If he's not coming back, or is he coming back? Did they do what he liked to do by drafting Love last year? No, but they made it to the NFC Championship. Another for the second straight year. It's not like he got some scrubs around him playing wide receiver. And this year, in the third round, they gave him value. They gave him a second round value in the third round. And what matters to him, they don't have to pay him. That helps his pocketbook if he wants more money. That's a guy that they ain't paying that extra $1 million to. If you got an issue with your team, let it be known out of your own voice. Especially when they're talking about you want the GM fired. That's the rumor that okay, that's something then. If you want the GM fired, you're talking about hurting other people's jobs and their livelihood. Okay, let me not hear it from somebody else. Let me hear it out your mouth. And that's my opinion on it. I'll hear what you got to say.
First, let me say this. We have yet to hear from Aaron Rodgers. Mm-hmm. I've been guilty of it before, and I've told myself that I can't be guilty of it again until we hear from Aaron Rodgers, because Aaron Rodgers is a big boy. He can speak for himself. Mm-hmm. I can't pass judgment yet. Now, of course, Terry Bradshaw, and has achieved such fame and glory that he has endowed himself with the powers that be to do so. And here's why I can't agree with the statement of calling him weak. If we think back to when we were kids, just we had a football and we had a bunch of friends, and said, we gonna be captains. Me and you gonna be captains. I'm gonna do my damnedest to get everybody that I know out there who can play. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how my friend, who the other captain, feel about it. I'm trying to get him, and him, because I know if we put all of us together, we can run you over. Mm-hmm. We in the media tend to forget that football, at its core, is a game. Mm-hmm. Yes, it is a business. It is a media industry. It is a phenomenon. But it's a game. Mm-hmm. And your job, Aaron's job, is to go out and win said game. Mm-hmm. Now, agree, Aaron Rodgers does not have a bunch of busters around you. No, he doesn't. But for years, Aaron Rodgers has had to be Superman amongst mortals. And what I mean by that is if Aaron Rodgers has an off day, the team loses. Mm-hmm. There are quarterbacks out there who have the luxury of having okay games, and they can still win. Mm-hmm. But if Aaron Rodgers, God forbid, in Green Bay, has a bad game, Green Bay loses. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, heavy is the head that wears the crown. You're a starting QB in the NFL. I get that. I'm not negating that fact. But here's the thing. If you're running a business and you're bringing in just enough money to keep the doors open, wouldn't you start going to your board, your superiors, your management, upper management, and be like, hey, we just making it. Mm-hmm. Y'all go get me some help here? Like, and I'm not defending a lot of his actions, no, but at what point does he's weak? He's complaining too much. At what point do we say that sounds a lot like shut up and play? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And so I mean, yeah, he got a Pro Bowl wide receiver. He has a all-star running back. He has some pretty good linemen. But can we look at the Green Bay Packers and say they have a great team? And I don't know if we can. That lies in the beauty of that is in the eyes of the beholder. And so if we can't do that, and then Aaron Rodgers is on that team and he can't do that, is he really, of course this is opinion, but is he really wrong for saying, hey, get me some help? I mean, yeah, y'all drafted for the future and y'all got a quarterback for the future. That's cool. I'm gonna work with him too. Because have we heard any problems about Jordan Love? Matter of fact, they just took a picture at the Kentucky Derby together, by the way. Mm-hmm. And so I say all that to say this. Yeah, he wants X, Y, and Z. Mm-hmm. But peep this. Over 6 teams just drafted their quarterback. 5 of those teams asked their quarterback, what do you want? And they went and got that quarterback's teammate from college. Mm-hmm. So Aaron Rodgers has just said, hey, I just need somebody to take some of this load off of me so that we can continue to be great. Mm. What did he do wrong?
No, here's my problem. I don't have a problem with what Aaron Rodgers has been reported as saying, and that's the issue. It's been just reported. Now, as far as I'm concerned, this is just a smoke screen, so Green Bay get more airtime on TV and more people talking about it. I think they probably all sitting around the coffee table laughing, joking, man, look at these fools talking about us, and we ain't nothing, everything cool, but we loving the publicity, and their publicity is good publicity. Because, like I said, I've yet to hear Aaron Rodgers say a word publicly out of his own mouth. I know that man going over there, going back and forth doing Jeopardy, and, being at the doggone, drinking some mint juleps with his backup, and they just went to 2 NFC championships in a row. Now, I don't know how many teams have done that, then didn't make the Super Bowl, but there's a few teams like Philadelphia, but those were great teams. Now, they're not great enough to be Super Bowl champions, but you're a great team when you win your division 2 years in a row and you get to the NFC, and you host it the second time around. And albeit for about 3 or 4 plays, you're probably playing in the Super Bowl. The problem what I have with it is I don't think it's Aaron Rodgers saying nothing at all, in my opinion, because the one thing, if he's looking at the big picture, you got to have some help on defense, because where you got your ass beat in the NFC Championship is not your offense. Your defense couldn't stop nobody. So obviously with Lazard and all the other guys, Van Der Skelton, they're names now. They're not scrubs, father. I ain't even talking about your number 1 stud, Javon. I mean, you're talking about 3 guys that everybody knows, Valdez, Scannon, and Lazard now, who the Jaguars probably regretting right now that they let go, that you picked up off the practice squad. So I don't think and then you just picked up Amari Rodgers, which gave you another weapon. So I don't think it's him complaining as much as the people. They're just letting the media have a good time, and they're getting all the exposure off of this because they're getting. I mean, they dominated the pre-draft talk, and he has still yet to say something. Now I give it to Bradshaw. Got his name out there by being able to make a comment. I actually seen Bettis out there on a talk show today, and he was making a comment. I'm like, everybody trying to get their little 2 cents in on the man, and he ain't said that. So for me, unless they just loving the pre-publicity, put this stuff to bed, Aaron, and go say something. But if you liking it out there, if you like it, I love it. They say.
I mean, I'm gonna be honest with you. If I was Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't say a thing. I let him talk. Let him talk. Let him talk. And Aaron Rodgers, and if you look at his past, that's what he's good for. Let them talk. They asked him in the locker room after they just lost 2 games. Are the Packers in trouble? And what he say? RELAX. Relax. Like, chill. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, if I'm Aaron Rodgers, I wouldn't say a thing either. I mean,
that's why I don't think he's actually really as much as everybody else saying, because if that was the case, he would have been whining about a wide receiver then. But they building up their defense. They gotta bolster that. They're a top 10 defense in the last 3 years, and they won a division. It's just when you run into a juggernaut called the 49ers at that time, who ran through you like a hot knife through butter, and then you had to play against damn near a Hall of Fame team with a Hall of Fame, future Hall of Fame tight end, future Hall of Fame wide receiver, 2 future Hall of Fame wide receivers, Hall of Fame quarterback, some stud at running back. I mean, come on. I mean, it would have been hard. Kansas City couldn't do nothing with them. So, I mean, and I ain't talking about the defense. Kansas City couldn't stop their offense. So, I mean, you sometimes teams are just better than you. That don't mean you're not a good team. You know what I mean? It's just, I remember being in my younger days watching the old Houston Oilers. They just couldn't get past the doggone Pittsburgh Steelers. They were very, very good. The Steelers just happened to be great. You just the luck of the draw sometimes. You know, so a great team has to beat some good teams to get to be great. That's how it is. And maybe you just a good team getting beat by great teams. You know, so and one team end up winning the Super Bowl, the other team end up losing in the Super Bowl. But you were the team that they went through to get there. So maybe you'll figure it out and they'll get there what they need to do to get over the hump and get to the Super Bowl. But they still don't guarantee a chance to winning it all. And it ain't like Aaron Rodgers don't have a ring. He actually won one there already.
Exactly.
All right, man. I love the show, man. We had some good topics today. Had a lot to talk about. Had a little bit of fun. I can't look forward to talking to you and having some fun with it and our fans next week. And fans, if you like what you see and hear, please hit that like button, push that subscribe button, and also just patronize our sponsors. Watch Game Film, She Car, Team Sportswear Direct. Also, take a look at all our girls and all our teams that are playing in the Women's Tackle Football League, and as well as Laces Out. And until next week, I love to be waiting to hear from you on these things. I'll definitely hit you back. And for my illustrious co-host, Andre L. Sullivan, my great producer, Granville Moody Fowler, we'll be back here next week. And thank you for watching the Terry McGriff Show.